The Biden administration proposal for the largest corporate tax rate in decades will end up hurting middle-class Americans, believe it or not. A Congressional Budget Office report revealed that workers could bear up to 70% of the tax burden with a corporate income tax hike. In fact, as our next guest has written, spiking the corporate tax rate, jacking up the global minimum tax, and doubling the capital gains tax, which really is a second tax on business, all that will damage blue-collar, middle-class, and lower-income folks the most, far more than wealthy earners. Joining us now, the author of the op-ed piece, Senator Rob Portman of Ohio. Senator, welcome back. You know, I actually went back and looked for the study, and lo and behold, you are correct. You are correct. And I'm just going to read, just real quick, one line from this study. It says, estimates imply that distributional estimates of the true economic burden of the corporate income tax would tend to overstate the burden on capital owners, investors, rich people, and understate the tax burden of laborers. Right there, in the committee print, as you would say. Overstate, and then it goes on to say, the tax burden will fall so highly on labor that makes one question the purpose of a progressive tax structure at all. Whoa! Now that just goes against every piece, kernel of wisdom we read all the time. So you broke through it. First of all, congrats. Second of all, what does it mean?
It means that if we were to pass what President Biden says he would like to pass, that people's wages are going to go down, their benefits are going to go down, and we'll be less competitive in the global marketplace. So our businesses will be less able to compete and win. And that's exactly the opposite of what we ought to be doing. Larry, you were the National Economic Advisor during a time when we did just the opposite. We stopped these companies that were literally inverting, in other words, becoming foreign companies to get out from under our tax code. We had a bunch of big companies in Ohio did that. Instead, we made it more attractive to be an American company and to invest and create jobs here. So it's going to hurt all across the spectrum. It hurts the macroeconomic growth, but it also hurts workers. And that's what I worry about, is that in his zeal to pay for $6 trillion of new spending, you know, the president's going first to what he thinks is an easy target, which is big companies. What he's really doing is he's going to workers. And it's sad because when we did this back in 2017, it became effective in 2018. By the end of 2019, we had 19 straight months before COVID of wage growth of 3% or more annualized. That was beginning to really rack up. That compounded and was really giving people a chance. For the first time in a couple decades, we had real rising wages over inflation. So it worked, and it was great because we had the lowest poverty rate in the history of our country since we began keeping track of it back in the 1950s. Think about that. We also had unemployment that was historically low, the lowest ever for Hispanics, for blacks, for Asian Americans, and overall the lowest unemployment in 50 years. So things were working pretty well. And why would we want to now go back to raising those taxes, driving those companies overseas, reducing workers' benefits and wages, and putting America in a less competitive position? It makes no sense.
See, Senator Portman, Mitch McConnell and Kevin McCarthy and other senators who have been meeting with President Biden have said they're going to draw a red line. GOP is going to draw a red line underneath the 2017 tax cut bill. They are not going to permit that to be overturned. Okay, hallelujah. But I think the logic that you presented in your op-ed, which, by the way, was something that Kevin Hassett and I argued till we were blue in the face way back during the campaign in 2016, the 70% burden falling on the, I call it the blue-collar middle class. I think, Senator, that logic needs to be ventilated. That logic needs to be put out there more. I think that's the rebuttal. And as you noted before, the facts, sir, are on your side. And I think at the end of the day, facts still matter.
Facts do matter, Larry. And the record is also on our side because we actually did it. It actually worked. We should talk about it more. Sometimes I think we Republicans, when we do something that's great for the middle class and great for poor people, as we did back in the 2018-2019 period, don't talk about it as much as we should. Democrats would be very proud of that record. And we did it by having less burden. And actually, taxes, although cut in 2017, created more economic growth. So you actually had slightly more revenue coming into the federal coffers in 2018, 2019 because of the greater economic growth. So that's what it's all about. That's what we should all be for.
Well, good luck, Senator Portman. Good luck in the battle. I think the games are just now beginning, so I wish you luck.
I think you're right, Larry.
Take care. Rob Portman of